the NFL Combine, where college players go to see who can run around cones faster. Now, I really like the Combine. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's a lot of analytics and a lot of statistics and, metrics as far as how big this person's arm should be or how long their wingspan should be. But there's a few other things that are pretty cool about this. The Combine is one of those situations where owners and staff and GM and all these guys get together to start discussing the future of teams and get a little bit of a head start on free agency. So let's take a look at what Joe Douglas has brought to the table and what we can expect for the Jets moving forward. Jets, Jets! Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Seriously, hit the subscribe button if you do like this content. I was going to release a mock draft, but I figured I'd wait till just after the Combine once I can get a little bit more information on some of these teams, and we can hear a little bit more of the rumors that come out of it. But a few things have come out over the course of the last week in terms of the new CBA and players potentially on the move, free agency, things of that nature. Joe Douglas spoke with the media, so I think there's some stuff that we could go over in one big chunk of a video.
Jamal is an unbelievable player, as we talked about at the end of the season meeting. We're excited. We're excited about Jamal. The plan is for Jamal to be a Jet for life.
So the first thing up on our docket is the Jamal Adams talk. Joe Douglas has come out and said he wants to make Jamal Adams a lifetime Jet. Now they're going to start working towards this. They're going to start going over contracts. We know about the Eddie Jackson contract and the Landon Collins contract, and Jamal Adams is going to be on top of probably both those contracts. So I'm looking forward to this. I want to see Jamal stay a lifetime Jet. I've been a big fan of his. He soured on me a little bit at the trade deadline. I thought there was a little too much diva drama going on, but he's a young guy, and I could see him being upset with the Jets potentially wanting to trade him. So I'm looking forward to this. I think Jamal's contract is going to be very interesting to watch because how are the Jets going to do it? Are they going to try and front load this deal so that way they can pay Sam on the back end, or are they going to try and continue Jamal's contract with the 4th year and 5th year options? And then we also have the franchise tag. So the Jets in theory own Jamal's rights for the next 3 years, and they don't have to pay him top dollar if they don't want to. But if they do decide to extend him, this is the most bang for your buck that the Jets could get. You sign him early, the cap keeps going up, so that contract looks a little bit better in the future. But then it also gives him a little bit of financial security. He's not just playing on a year-to-year deal over the next 3 years. At least you can guarantee those 3 years, and then escalate the guaranteed money to whatever would make him the highest paid safety. That's interesting. I think they'll eventually get that done, unless Jamal's looking for some sort of top defender money, like $20 million, then he can go kick rocks. But I don't expect that. I do expect him to get the highest paid safety contract, but I'm looking forward to Douglas expanding on this moving forward. I want to see where this goes.
I don't think there's been a lot of I addressed it at the end of season meeting. There hasn't been talk as far as him going anywhere. We're excited about LeVeon. LeVeon's been a great teammate. I can't tell you how great he's been. I had a great conversation with him at the end of the season exit meeting, and I know he's been working hard down in Miami, down at Bomberitos, and I know he's excited to get back, and we're excited to have him.
The next thing Douglas mentioned was LeVeon Bell, and that there have been no trade talks, and it's not that surprising since the LeVeon Bell contract sucks, or it doesn't suck. It just sucks to try and trade him. I want Le'Veon Bell on this team. I would like to see him stay here through next year. I think he's probably done after next year with the way we haven't really been able to use him, and Gase wasn't necessarily high on him. I think Douglas probably has different priorities than McCagnon, that sort of thing. I'm looking forward to seeing Bell here on this team with a new revamped offensive line, and who knows, maybe if he plays really well, he decides to stay, or the Jets decide to hold on to him beyond next year. I like this. It's not surprising to me. There were rumors that the Jets could potentially trade him to either the Steelers, the Chiefs, or the Texans. All three of those teams would make a lot of sense. The Steelers, maybe not so much because they're right up against the cap, but the Chiefs could use a legit threat at running back. Maybe there's some type of swap of like a Sammy Watkins to us. They get Le'Veon Bell. That way you take on 2 pretty big contracts, but you wipe out one of theirs, you take on one. It's something to think about, I guess, something to chew over. Texans would be a really good spot for him as well, but I think he ultimately comes back to the Jets. We get to root for him for one more year. He's been a great teammate. I really have enjoyed him. The worst thing that happened to him this past year was that the team told him not to show up to practice because he was sick, and he went out bowling. It's not like he was trying to run some type of crazy marathon or doing something stupid that could hurt his body. He was bowling. Get over it. I'm excited for it. I hope he comes back, and I hope we do have him in this offense for Sam for next year.
We're going to have some talks with a lot of players' agents. Robbie's agent's one of them. So we're going to see how those talks go. Again, something I touched on at the end of the season. Couldn't be more proud of the way Robbie handled himself this season, with all the adversity that hit in the beginning of the season, going 1-7, Sam being sick, and then him just sticking to it and never an ounce of wavering and finish the season strong. So Robbie's a great player.
The next thing I want to talk about is Robbie Anderson. There's a report out there saying that the Jets are going to make a push to try and re-sign Robbie, but it sounds like his market is going to be very high. We don't know if Cooper's actually going to hit the free agent market. If he does, I think he'll be the highest paid receiver, but Robbie's not going to be too far behind him. He's going to be in the wheelhouse of $15 million a year, which is where Robbie wanted to be. He wanted to be in that 13 to 15, and I just can't justify the Jets spending that kind of money on Robbie when we have so many holes on the offensive line, but I do think he deserves to get paid that kind of money by some team somewhere. I think we've talked about some of these potential landing spots. Carolina, Miami, Philadelphia are all names that kind of pop up over and over. I do not want to pay Robbie Anderson that much money, and I think part of the rumors that we're also starting here, I'll link this into this as well. We've heard that the Jets have a lot of interest in Henry Ruggs. That's the wide receiver from Alabama, not named Jerry Jeudy. He's got 10-inch hands, so the dude's got like massive hands, can catch anything, and he could potentially break the 40-yard dash record set by John Ross. So I could see this happening. It wouldn't shock me if Ruggs actually was taken before Jerry Jeudy, just because of all his metrics and the way he's projected to blow up the combine. So if he hasn't set that record, because I'm recording this prior to that actually happening, I still think he's going to go really high. I think he's probably the third receiver off the board. Could be the fourth receiver if T. Higgins goes before him. But I think with the Jets potentially looking at Henry Ruggs, if you guys haven't watched him, check out a highlight tape. The guy's lightning fast. He's very, very similar to like a Tyreek Hill without the extra baggage. So I would be on board for that. The only issue is he's definitely going to go in the first round, and I don't think Douglas is going to take a receiver with that number 11 pick.
We need to have a strong offensive line. We have to do a good job of taking care of Sam moving forward. All things that I've mentioned earlier.
There's one thing we've learned about Douglas is he definitely values offensive line, or at least that's where we had our biggest weaknesses, and that's where he's tried to address it. He's brought in Alex Lewis. We've had Khalil come in. Even though Khalil was a swing and a miss, at least it was the right idea. You try to get some type of production out of a position that you're really not getting a whole lot of production out of.
We need explosive guys. We need explosive, dynamic playmakers.
I do find it interesting that the Jets are talking about Ruggs, though, because it would pretty much be a direct replacement for Robbie Anderson with a higher upside and a significantly cheaper contract. So maybe the Jets are trying to say, hey, look, we could bring back Robbie, but we're going to look towards the draft. So maybe that hurts Robbie's price a little bit, and the Jets could possibly get him back a little bit cheaper. I don't really buy that. I think he's going somewhere else. I think he's going to get a lot of money. This leads me into my last point, and it's something that I think is going to change dramatically under Joe Douglas, and we've sort of started to see that already with his hires that he's brought in. Now, we heard rumors initially that he could try to bring in Todd McShay to come into his scouting department, and I think that's probably a little tongue-in-cheek because McShay has a great job making mock drafts and doing all these crazy college football stuff. So I don't think that's really much of an option, but I do think there is a very large emphasis on scouting and analytics with this regime compared to all our previous regimes. And the reason I say that is we brought in and hired Phil Savage, the prior director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, so he knows a lot of these college players. He knows what to look for. He knows what is good and what is bad. I think that is a huge add for the scouting department. The other thing that just popped across my Twitter feed too was the Jets hired Zach Stewart, and I don't really know who this guy is, but apparently he was a finalist in this year's Big Data Bowl, but was unable to present his presentation, I guess, because the Jets scooped him up prior to that, which tells me that the Jets are going hard after the analytics side of things for this season and probably moving forward under this Joe Douglas regime. I really like this approach. I think it's something different that the Jets haven't really done. I would like to see the Jets invest a lot of money into their scouting department because that is where you are going to build a good franchise. I would prefer them not spend a dime in free agency if they could spend all that on drafting good players. But, we're going to need to fill it out every which way, and Douglas is going to have his hands full this offseason. Guys, let me know what you think of all the combine comments down below. I'm going to make a mock draft. I wanted to wait till after the combine so I had a little bit more information. That'll be coming out in the next week or so. I have about half of it filled out right now. Don't forget to check out our Monday call-in show and also our Tuesday Talking Jets panel with Green Bean, O'Leary, and David. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And as always, go Jets.